Hey, how's it going? My name's Josh. I'm a personal trainer and I specialize in helping men to reduce the size of their butts and to transform their body from feminine ones to masculine ones and improve their self-image and self-confidence. Now, in today's video, I want to discuss or share with you how I got rid of my fat butt. Now, I'm sure if you've seen any of my videos or any of my content so far, you know my story. I grew up, as I understand now, it was actually a genetic condition called steatopedia, which makes you store the excess fat that you've got in your body predominantly in your butt, in your thighs as well. So growing up, I got teased. People made fun of me because my bum was always sticking out, and I had a really skinny upper body, and I didn't look like anyone else in terms of how my body looked. So growing up, I got to the point where I actually wanted to get plastic surgery to get rid of it because I was so embarrassed about my body. I didn't think men looked like that, having big bums and big thighs. It's a very feminine physique. So I really wanted to get rid of it. But luckily I found out about the gym and how I could transform my body naturally. So I got into natural bodybuilding. I didn't want to compete or anything, but I just wanted to change my body and craft my ideal body. So that's how I got into this. So essentially the main thing you need to realize is that it never goes away. Because if you let your diet slip, if you put on excess body fat, your glutes are going to get bigger again. It's just a case of reducing your body fat over your whole body and maintaining that, if that's your goal. I went down the route of balancing out my body and creating a body that was in proportion. So my goal was never to reduce this. I mean, initially, growing up, I wanted to reduce the size of it. But after I realized it's just how God made me, it's just how my body is, I focused on building the rest of my body to match. So I just wanted to balance out my lower body with my upper body to the point where my whole first year of training, maybe my first 2 years, I barely done legs because I didn't want my butt to get any bigger. I didn't want to get my thighs any bigger until my upper body caught up. And it actually got to the point where I built up my upper body so much, people now accuse me, where they used to laugh at me for having a big butt and big thighs. Now they say I skip leg day, I don't train legs. Which was quite funny. It's like you never win these things, do you? If you change your body and make a change to how you look because of the opinions of others, there's always going to be someone who's going to say something anyway that's negative. But once I did build my body, obviously when it comes to building muscle, it's a case of you want to load up the calories. So you're eating more food. There was even a point where I actually started taking a weight gainer when I first started training to build on muscle faster. Obviously your glutes are going to get fatter as well, but I was just focused on building my upper body. But eventually once things balanced out, I then focused on reducing my body fat because I wasn't happy how my stomach was starting to pop out a little bit and my glutes were getting even bigger. So it was at that point when I felt comfortable with the muscle I built, then I decided to cut down. And I've done this a couple times, but basically the results are the same and the process is the same and the results are the same. Now, you can check out my before and after picture of a recent cut I did in terms of reducing my body fat, and you can see how my glutes and my thighs have shrunken in a lot. I mean, I think I went over the point in terms of my cardio and diet, where I think I lost quite a bit of muscle, especially in my legs. If you look at my thighs, they're a lot smaller, and I don't believe that was all fat. I think a lot of muscle was lost as well. But to get to those low body fat levels, you are gonna have to sacrifice a little bit of that muscle, if that makes sense. Because obviously I wanted to get lean in my stomach, I wanted to get ripped abs. I did lose some muscle, but luckily not too bad. So what was the process? How did I get rid of my fat butt? So diet was a huge thing. So MyFitnessPal is a fantastic application that you can download on your phone. And basically what it does, it tells you, it's got a calorie calculator basically. So you put in your height, your weight, and you put in your target, and it tells you how many calories you should be having to hit that target by the date that you put in. So you can do that. I mean, there's two ways you can do it. You can do it every day. So you can basically, you can plan in advance or eat on the fly, and you can input your food, like a food diary each day. Or what I think is actually a better approach if you're serious about getting rid of your butt is using MyFitnessPal to create like a sample day of eating, for example. So you know in advance, you don't have to track anything. You've got a food plan that you stick to by the book. So for example, this might be for breakfast, you're having, let's say you're having a breakfast shake of 40 grams of oats, 2 scoops of whey protein, tablespoon of almond, or 25 grams of almond butter, and water. Let's say that's your breakfast. And then for lunch, you've put in the figures, and you can have 200 grams of rice, 100 grams of chicken, and 50 grams of green vegetables, and 50 grams of an avocado. And then for dinner, let's say you're having 200 grams of sweet potato, 100 grams of salmon fillets, and then, does that make sense? So you put it all in, you see if the numbers match up, and that way you've got your food plan that you stick to. You don't have to keep putting it in every day, because a lot of people complain with MyFitnessPal is that it just takes up too much time in terms of inputting the food. So this way, if you can just set up in advance, you know what to eat each day, you're not tempted to go out and eat this and that. That's really effective. Also in line with that, you've got food scales. So to make sure you're on track with your nutrition, I definitely advise you grab some food scales, get some off Amazon or your local shop, because it's really hard to estimate or guesstimate how much food is that you need, basically. Like if you just say 2 spoonfuls, or you try and look at it with your eyes, it can be very difficult. Whereas all you have to do, if you're serving yourself rice, put the plate on the food scale, serve it up, make sure it's 200 grams or as close to that as possible. There's no reason why it shouldn't be exact with it, because you've got the numbers there on the scales. If you're having 150 grams of chicken, just again use the scales. It makes life a lot easier. So yeah, use that. Obviously you have to eliminate certain foods, so obviously eliminate junk food. I'd say at most once a week, satisfy those cravings, but nothing more than that. I'm not going to be one of those trainers that are going to sell you the dream of eating whatever you want and get into this. Like, chances are you're going to have to sacrifice. And then when you get down to here, when the butt is gone, you've got rid of it, then slowly incorporate those foods back in. But until then, you want to be eliminating some of these foods, or all of these bad foods. So yeah, no junk food. Sugars, avoid these. Obviously that's a simple one. So chocolates, biscuits, cakes, pastries, avoid those. And you need to also watch out for the sneaky bits of sugar that come in your diet. So sauces, so condiments like ketchup, barbecue sauce, sweet chili. If you look on the actual nutritional information, the food label, there's a lot of calories, a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of sugars. And you might feel like, you've cut out all the junk food, you've cut out the sweets, but you're not losing any weight, your glutes aren't getting smaller. It's because you're slipping up on these things in terms of sugar. So that applies to drinks as well, like fruit juices, squash. So yeah, stay clear. If you like to go out and have coffees at Starbucks or teas or whatever, again, you need to avoid adding syrups or honey or sugar or anything like that. All right, next we've got processed foods. So these are also foods you should cut out. So chances are these are all the bad foods anyway, like crisps and crackers, and basically foods that you can't grow yourself. So let's say you had a garden, you can grow whatever food you wanted in the garden. These are the foods you should be sticking to. So foods that you plant a seed in there, or let's say there's animals grazing and you hunt the animals, or fish. You want foods that are from the earth, not foods that are made in a factory, if that makes sense. So for example, you think of crisps, or biscuits, or even pasta. It goes bread, for example, because that has to be processed with different ingredients and manufactured. So you want to avoid those foods, because it's going to make this a lot harder. So yeah, so even breads and pastas, I would avoid those. I would stick to like sweet potatoes, like brown rice, lentils, beans, things like that will help. So I'd say, yeah, that this approach, worked for me personally. Obviously, there's lots of other approaches you might take. So you might try the keto diet, or you might go low carb, where you stick to mainly vegetables, and you can eat as much fats and meats as you want. But all these diets work. It's just having one that works for you. I find MyFitnessPal is fantastic because with these other diets, you can still overeat. I don't believe there's a diet where you just eat whatever you want, unlimited, and not have to track. It's going to take some sort of sacrifice and some sort of grind, but it'll be worth it if you really want to get this result of reducing the fat on your butt. All right, let's move on to cardio next. So when it comes to cardio, you have two different options. So you've got LISS, so low intensity, steady state cardio. And then you've got HIIT training, so high intensity interval training. So let's start with LISS. So basically this is, again, as the title describes, steady state, low intensity, steady state cardio. So for example, you might go for a brisk walk for 45 minutes to an hour. So actually what's worked really well for me, I was actually surprised it worked so well, was to do incline walking on a treadmill. So I'd set a treadmill pretty much to the highest setting, and then I would just do a brisk walk for about 45 minutes to an hour. And it doesn't sound too challenging, but if when your body fat is already low and your energy is low, it can be a bit of a struggle. But it's you can have your iPad there or your phone. You can listen to music. You can message your friends, go on social media, watch football, and it's less taxing on the body versus HIIT training. So with LISS training, it doesn't have to be incline walking. You could maybe go for a run outside or a jog. Basically, you want to have a tempo where you can hold a conversation throughout the exercise. So maybe even a stair climber. So it could be anything, just steady, get your heart rate. I'd say anything above 130 BPM to 145, nothing too crazy. And then hold that for 45 minutes to an hour. HIIT training, on the other hand, is a bit more intense. So, for example, you might go on the treadmill and you're going to set it at like a pretty high speed, whereas where you're sprinting at about a 9 out of 10 intensity. So really going all out. So you go out all out for 30 seconds and you hop off the side, rest for 30 seconds while the treadmill's still running, jump back on, again, sprint as fast as you can. Or if you're outside, let's say you've got a running track, sprint 100 meters, walk back, sprint 100 meters again. Or you could even sprint to one lamppost, or if it's a long street, sprint to one lamppost, walk to the next, something like that. And you would do that for no longer than 20-25 minutes. That would be enough. So obviously HIIT training, you can get the same results as this steady state cardio, but in half the time. Obviously it's going to tax your body a lot more. So if your fitness levels isn't great, maybe start with this one. But there's nothing stopping you from interchanging them, switching it up. I've got great results doing both HIIT and LISS training. So it's basically just get your body to, get your body moving, burn fat and calories. It's gonna, you're gonna be losing a lot of fat around your butt area. So yeah, you want to do this at least 4 times per week. If you're an absolute newbie, start with 3 times. But for me personally, it was at least 4 times a week. So I'm really getting into it. And I was still weight training because I didn't want to lose all this hard-earned muscle. And because muscles, I find building muscles a lot harder, a lot slower than losing body fat. Like, you can lose a ton of body fat in like 3 months, but you're not building a lot of muscle in 3 months if you're doing it naturally. Obviously, if you're taking steroids, that's a whole nother issue, but I'm all about the natural bodybuilding, so that's what I'm going to focus on here. So weight training, so how I would do it, obviously, when I was doing LISS, the low intensity steady state cardio, I was spending a lot more time in the gym. So I might even have 2 sessions in the day. So I might do my weight training in the morning, or my cardio in the morning and my weight training later, or vice versa. Or I do my weight training and then, so let's say an hour of weight training and 45 minutes to an hour cardio. So I'm in the gym for 2 hours at least, and that's quite a lot of time to spend. So if time's a bit short, you might find HIIT training more suitable. So let's say you do 45 minutes to an hour weight training and then 25 minutes HIIT. So you're out of the gym in an hour and a half, or if you can squeeze in a great session in 45 minutes and then follow up with 20 minutes of HIIT. So hour 15. So that's what I would advise. So do the weight training first, the HIIT training afterwards. Or what you can do, so a program that I put my clients through in the gym is what I call, it's a cardio acceleration program. So I'm actually combining the weight training and the HIIT training. So basically in between sets where you're training, let's say you're doing chest press, you do your 10 reps, then 30 minutes, you can set a timer on. If you've got a watch or a phone, just jump and do some cardio. So some HIIT training. So do some high knees, some squat jumps, some burpees. And then as soon as the 30 minutes are done, another 10 reps or 30 seconds of resistance training. If you're training by yourself, it might be easier to just set a timer, do as many reps as you can in 30 seconds. So chances are, you're not going to do much more than 10 reps in terms of clean form, and then you jump straight to the cardio. That way it's just easy to do. And yeah, you can essentially, if you combat both of these together, you could be in and out of the gym in 45 minutes, but it's more intense. Your strength is going to go down initially where you're getting your breath back while you're still lifting, but eventually as your body gets used to, it's more efficient on recovery between the sets and during the sets, your strength will go up as well. And your body will start using the oxygen better. But that's a really effective way, and that's worked for my clients as well. So if time's a bit short, you want to lose body fat, you still want to do resistance training, go for that training, and you can get your sessions done in 45 minutes. So yeah, a few options here, but the principles pretty much stay the same. Watch your diet, cut out the junk, track your food, have a food diary, and do cardio. And also, as a bonus point, you want to monitor your progress as well. So I'm going to put this here. So scale, okay, food scale. So alongside the food scales, you want to track you want to use the bathroom scale. So food scales are generally the kitchen scales. If you search for kitchen scales, you'll find the right food scales. Bathroom scales are the ones that you use to track your weight. And essentially, if you want your butt to reduce in size, you want to get a smaller butt, you're going to be losing weight as well. That's going to be really important. I think the picture I showed you, I'll show you again. I think on the left, I was like 96 kilos. And on the right, I'm like 86 or 84. So I've lost a lot of weight. And that's just how, that's how it goes. So yeah, if you want the full details of how I transformed my body from one I hated, feminine body with a fat butt, fat thighs and skinny upper body, to a physique that I love and I feel proud of. Download my free book, The Alpha Male Body Blueprint. Link in the description. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up so I know to create more. Subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.